lovely people, my name is Emma and today I'm going to be doing my wrap up for May, but this is going to be talking about the contemporary romances that I read during the month of May. So like I mentioned in my previous wrap up, which was all the other books I read, I kind of had a bit of a weird contemporary romance deep dive as a way of like fixing a reading slump after a really intense book hangover from reading 2 books about mushrooms that I absolutely loved. So rather than have a ridiculously long wrap up this month, I decided to split them because I know contemporary romance is not particularly what I'm known for on this channel. People aren't necessarily big fans of it, so I wanted to put it in its own separate wrap up. So if you're a fan, you can continue watching, but if it's not why you're around on my channel, it doesn't kind of feed into the other ones. So I've got like 15 or 16 titles to talk about today, some novellas, some full romance novels, some that were rereads, some that were brand new reads, and we're just going to kind of jump in. And I've got them vaguely grouped primarily by author because I did kind of do a serious deep dive in some authors as well. So the author that I read the most of was Talia Hibbert, who is most well known for the Brown Sisters trilogy, which is Get a Life Chloe Brown, Take a Hint Danny Brown, and Actual Age Eve Brown. And I actually read book 3 this month because I've already read the other ones. So this one is about Eve Brown, who's known as kind of the flake of the family. She sort of jumps around from job to job, and her parents basically tell her she needs to like basically get her act together, act her age. So she ends up taking a job in a really cute little B&B as their chef, but it's after accidentally breaking the arm of the guy who runs it, so she's kind of helping him out a bit. It's sort of a mutual dislike to lovers trope. I don't really like the term enemies to lovers. I never think it's particularly accurate, so it's a sort of initial antagonism to lovers, and I really enjoy those as a kind of trope because you just get that lovely like, am I attracted to you, am I not, you're really annoying but why do I keep staring at your mouth kind of vibe, and it was just really good fun. It also had some really interesting autism rep. The man love interest is autistic, and I can't speak to how accurate or not it was, but as I'm not an autistic person, but I did definitely enjoy that as kind of being a romantic lead. And the B&B sort of setting was really cute, and it also had some really quirky, interesting, different takes on sex scenes, which was nice to just get a bit of variety in there, because sometimes contemporary romances can get a little formulaic in that area. Another full-length romance I read from Talia Hibbert is The Roommate Risk. Yes, that's what it's called. This is one of her lesser known ones, sort of earlier in her back catalogue, and it's about a woman who moves in with her best friend who, because of some issues with her house happening, and then it turns out the best friend has been pining after her for absolute years, and he really wants commitment and relationships and like the whole marriage, white picket fence kind of thing, and she's a bit of a player who likes to sort of not be tied down, and it's about, but she's also like really attracted to him, and it's about them kind of trying to work through their relation, like their feelings for each other, and actually be honest with each other, or for the fear of like ruining their really long-standing friendship. It was a little bit of a slow burn, which is not always my favourite, and I do think it lacked actual conflict beyond literally just the romance. I kind of prefer it when my contemporary romance has a little something more going on, but it was really cute, really hot, really fun. Then I read a novella by Talia Hibbert, which was Guarding Temptation. This is actually using 2 characters that were a spin-off from The Roommate Risk, but it was essentially just The Roommate Risk like again, but this time they move in together because she's getting death threats for work that she does online, and it's about like, it kind of triggers the protectiveness. This one was cute in some ways because they actually hooked up at the very beginning, and then it was like a terrible mistake that they then have to try and like repair their relationship from. But it did feel like a bit of a kind of rinse repeat of The Roommate Risk, which I actually read Guarding Temptation first, so then The Roommate Risk was like a longer version of it, and I was like, this feels like it could have just been 1 book. I don't really know why it's 2, but it was fun. Then I read Merry Inkmas, which is also by Talia Hibbert, and this one is about a guy who basically gives a job to this girl, this woman who he's accidentally kind of engineered a situation where she gets fired from her coffee shop job, so she becomes his receptionist at his tattoo parlour, but he's hiding like a deep dark secret, and it's this kind of gruff exterior with a heart of gold underneath, and about her trying to like break through that. It was cute, and I did definitely enjoy the kind of tattoo elements of it. I thought that was really interesting. As somebody who has a decent amount of ink myself, it was fun to kind of have that thrown into a contemporary romance, but I thought that the characters were quite inconsistent with how they acted throughout the book, so it was not my favourite. I also reread Mating the Huntress by Talia Hibbert twice in the month. This is Talia Hibbert's first foray into paranormal romance, and it's about a werewolf who finds his mate, but she's actually part of a family of hunters, but she never actually goes out to hunt because of a prophecy that was made when she was born that her first kill would rip out her heart. So it's about them being fated together. It was really fun. I love the characters. I love the take on the werewolf, and it was so nice reading a paranormal romance that didn't get all like essentially really non-consensual, because sometimes the paranormal romance genre can have some serious problems with that, especially when it's the like mated for life storyline that's very common in werewolf literature. So I'm definitely down with it. I mean, I reread it twice this month, literally. I read it first last month, and then within 2 weeks I was like, I'm going to reread it, and honestly I was really tempted to just keep rereading it over and over again. It's become like a huge comfort read for me. So really good fun, and I definitely want Talia Hibbert to write more paranormal romance, please. Then I did read other authors, I promise. So one that I read was, I finished off the Reluctant Royalist trilogy by Alyssa Cole. This is a Prince on Paper is the last one, and this one is about a woman who, her father was the kind of bad guy in the first book, and has spent like her entire life basically gaslighting her about her health and her abilities. She's trying to find her own independence, and then the like man love interest, he is the bastard son of a member of the royalty, and he will not inherit anything, but he basically is often very public in the tabloids to try and keep attention off of his much younger brother, who is going to inherit the throne. So it's about him kind of putting out this big bad boy persona to try and save his family. It was entertaining, and I do like Alyssa Cole in general, but I feel like it tried to do too many things. There was like a mutual dislike to lovers vibe going on. There was a bit brief fake dating thing going on. There was kind of like a secret miscommunication thing going on, and it just sort of didn't really work for me. One thing I did like about it though was when there was a miscommunication, they did actually sit down and talk about it properly, and so some of the like conflict felt a little bit more serious, but it kind of threw too many things in at once, and I think it would have been better doing one thing rather than both. But generally entertaining. I do like Alyssa Cole. I want to check out some more of her novellas, so that one was good fun. I've got two rereads. One was The New Guy by Kathryn Freeman. This is about a woman who has a one-night stand, and then it turns out the guy is actually her new employee. He's a software engineer at the company that she runs, and it's about the hugely awkward situation there. I like this story. Obviously it's a reread. I knew what I was getting into. It's kind of a closed doors romance. Everything else I've talked about, and most of the books I read are incredibly spicy, shall we say. There's a fair amount of like graphic sex scenes, which is kind of one of the reasons why I'm going to be reading a contemporary romance. This one's a lot more gentle, a lot sweeter, a lot more closed doors. We don't get quite into the details in the same way, but I did really like it. I love the two characters. I love the dimensions and the kind of character growth that they go through, and I think again it's sort of the troubles that the relationship faces when they're first coming together feel very genuine, whereas sometimes it feels like contemporary romance throws in a like Act 3 conflict purely based on a frankly unbelievable miscommunication just to create drama for no reason, whereas this one doesn't do that. I don't think. I think it's kind of a lot more genuine. Then I reread Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. This is a fantastic gay romance fake dating trope. Might be one of my favourite fake dating tropes ever. Normally they don't really work for me, but this one was bang on. And this is about a guy who is the son of a rock star who often ends up in the tabloids for being a bit of a drunken mess, and the charity that he works for has told him like, you need to clean up your act for this benefit we've got coming up because we're losing donors because of you. So he ends up fake dating this very prim, proper, straight-laced guy who's like a friend of a friend, and it's about the two of them coming together. It has some really interesting conversations about the different way that homophobia can come out, both from sort of your own family, sort of society in general. Also some really interesting conversations about like tabloids, fame being abuse, all that kind of thing, and sort of trust issues. And just generally it was really sweet. It's got some of my like favourite characters from contemporary romance. I absolutely adore Boyfriend Material. It's such a feel-good book. Then I read a new one, which was One to Watch by Kate Stayman London. This one I enjoyed the content, but I was not sold on the romance. For me it barely counted as a contemporary romance in some ways. And this is about a woman who is going to become the first fat contender for the Bachelorette, or whatever their version of the Bachelorette is, like a reality TV show dating game, basically, because she puts this TV show on blast on Twitter and things like that about not having good diverse body representation on their show. So the book does talk about fat phobia, and again, being in the public eye, fame, etc, etc, social media quite well. The thing that I didn't enjoy about it was the romances, because you're trying to keep multiple guys in the running to kind of sell this reality TV show like dating thing, that actually I didn't really feel like convinced by any of the romances. She kind of kept flip-flopping between these couple of different guys, and like none of it really sold it for me. I don't like reality TV shows. I especially don't like reality TV dating shows. I have never watched The Bachelor or any of its various spin-offs, other than the odd clip here or there. I do not enjoy them. I do not understand them. So you might kind of argue like this book really wasn't for me, and I think that if you are somebody who does like those TV shows, you'll definitely enjoy this one. But I did really enjoy the fat representation and the whole conversation that it kind of sparked up about fat phobia. So I thought that that was really excellent, and I'd like to kind of see that in more books, basically. Then I read, this is I think the last new one, because then everything else is, I've got 2 more rereads after this, and I read The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. This was fantastic and incredibly spicy, steamy, probably one of the most graphic on the list. And it's about a woman who has autism or Asperger's, I can't remember which. I don't fully understand the difference between the two, I'm really sorry about that. And basically she hires a male prostitute to teach her how to kind of date, so that she can then potentially try this on a guy at work who she feels like she should be compatible with, but she doesn't actually feel anything particularly for. And it's about the two of them coming together. I didn't overly enjoy the kind of conversations about sex work. It was not particularly sex work positive, but I did like the sort of different heroine character having autism, and also enjoyed the fact that she was in STEM and he was in fashion, and sort of we're playing around with a lot of different things. The conflict felt incredibly real and incredibly meaningful, not just miscommunication, which was great. And like I said, sex scenes, whoa mama, that was spicy, that was good fun. Then I reread Superior by Jessica Lack. This is an incredibly short novella, maybe even just short story, about the sidekicks of a hero and a villain coming together, and it's really cute. It's a wonderful gay romance. It's YA, so again, incredibly closed doors, nothing particularly graphic happens, but it's really, really lovely. And then the final one that I read was The Bromance Book Club by Lyssa K. Adams. This was a reread and is about an elite sportsman who finds out that his wife has been faking orgasms, and then it turns out she's actually been faking more than just orgasms in their relationship, and they've got huge problems with communication and some real issues. She files for a divorce, he desperately wants her back, and so his mates, who it turns out are actually part of a secret book club that talk about romance novels as a way of understanding toxic masculinity, try and help him get her back and understand what their relationship actually needs. I love this book. I think it's fantastic. I think, like I said, the conversations about toxic masculinity are really fun and really interesting, and it's just kind of quirky. I also love the fact that it's an already married couple kind of falling back in love with each other, because so many of the contemporary romance books out there are all about first love and like falling in love in the early days and sort of the honeymoon period. And I really enjoyed one that was talking about like, what does it mean to continue a relationship, and how do you kind of grow together and work together and make sure both partners kind of equally fulfilled within the relationship, and sort of work together actually as a team rather than one just being a support structure for the other. And I think that that's one that I wish more contemporary romances would do. So if you do know of any others out there that are about people who are already in an established relationship falling back in love, I would love to read more of them. So I think that is it. Those are all of the contemporary romance. Oh no, there's one more. Oh, I forgot about the dark romance at the end. Oh god. Yeah, I also read Sweet Solitude by Sav R. Muller. This was my first foray into dark romance, and I don't know if it's a foray I'm going to go back into. This is probably the point where we drift from contemporary romance into just erotica / smut zone. It's the second in a trilogy. I've not read the other two, and it's about a guy who, his family are deeply involved in the local mafia. He's their like cleaner dude who basically disposes of bodies. He gets incredibly emotionally attached to a woman. There's all sorts of some kind of like human trafficking thing, something to do with her mother. It's all very dark and gross and grim. It gets a bit non-consensual in places, as dark romance apparently tends to. Trigger warnings for sketchy ass stuff. Please do check this book out first. But it was It was fun. It was a light read in terms of like speed, and the sex scenes when they were consensual were excellent. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to read any more dark romance or not. I don't know how I feel about it just existing in the world. But yeah, so it kind of reminded me of some of the like paranormal romance stuff out there that is also like, oh, that is red flags all over the place. But it's also kind of fun. And maybe that says something about me, and maybe there's some internalized stuff going on here. But let's not look too closely at it because it's 11 o'clock at night and I'm just reading some trash before I go to bed. So yeah, I read that at the end. Let me know your thoughts on dark romance / paranormal romance / things with huge trigger warnings out there and like red flags at the bottom. So that is actually it from me. Have a wonderful reading week and I will chat to you soon. Bye!